Today I get to ride my GS1100E. I'm the original owner of the bike. It was bought from Westwood Suzuki in 1982. It's got a little over 75,000 miles on it right now, and it's still in pretty reasonably nice shape. I have two sets. I actually have two motorcycles. Two sets of bodywork so I can make it a West Cooley bike in a matter of about an hour. I have two sets of wheels, of course, a spare engine that needs a little bit of work, spare instruments, actually a lot of spare parts. It's a great bike. Now, we've been pretty successful this summer dealing with the really hot weather by getting up early and getting out early. And because we've been so successful, I'm not going to change a thing. And being real honest, I don't think anything's going to change in the next 3-4 weeks. They're just predicting one hot day after another. But so far, we have been able to get a ride pretty much every day. And today, we're going to add to that winning list. Now, as I always do, I try to pre-flight a bike before I go for a ride. I'm usually riding by myself, and if something breaks, it can be really inconvenient if I pick up a nail in a tire or have a dead battery or anything. And that's the obvious stuff, but then the not so obvious stuff. I just want to have a clean bike. I don't want to have chain lube all over the back muffler and the back wheel, and I want to have it clean. And there's a price to be paid, and I'm willing to pay the price. Now, in this case, doing some of the aluminum that has been sitting for a while, and since the last time we did an engine cleaning, and this only takes about 15 minutes, but I had time this morning because I was waiting for Karen to finish what she was doing. And in this case, it's something I enjoy. Now, some people don't care. And of course, even little details like polishing up the master cylinder or the levers or those steel brake lines that Joe Padula donated to our cause, every little detail counts, every detail. And then I always like before, and then Karen was doing some work in the garden there, I always like looking at the bike, oogling it a little bit. Karen picked up new flowers for the house today, and we are right in the middle of the flower season. Every day we have new flowers. We have new fresh vegetables every day. This is the best month, I guess, for all farmers, not only us. And we share everything with our neighbors, and we have a giant block party coming up for our block. We haven't had one in a few years, and we're going to be having free vegetables for everybody.
All right, who wants to take a ride on a GS today? Oh, nobody, huh? I'm going to ride by myself again? Come on, you can do it. Come on, guys. You can do it. Don't bite me.
Wonder who's hungrier in the morning, the birds or me? And early in the ride today, I was shooting pictures, got back on the motorcycle, and I had a bee inside my jacket. He must have flown up my sleeve or down my neck. And I start swatting him and making a mess, and by the time I was done, I had a real nice bite on the bottom of my arm. I never did find the bee, but I took my jacket off and looking all around, and I had a big giant red mark under my arm, right under the armpit. And I said, holy mackerel. I don't know if it's a bee or a wasp or a bug or what. But that got my full attention today and made this an exciting ride. And this whole episode brought back memories of many years ago. I got a bee inside my helmet. Somehow I got up under the face shield. And it was not funny. I had a big welt on my face by the time I got done getting him out of my helmet. And every time I stop to take a few pictures or video, I have to think, the guy that styled this bike, he was a German, but I don't remember his name. He did the 90S BMW. I think he got it right, and 2 years, they only made these for 2 years, and then Suzuki went to the Buick styling. Now, most people that are into racing of any kind, and especially drag racing, have a lot of respect for what Suzuki did with this engine. And for the last of the real air-cooled engines, one of the last ones anyway, this was just one hunk of torque and easy to maintain and bulletproof. And of course, you never know when you buy a new bike and you're the first owner. You never know how it's going to play out, whether you're going to like it, not like it. It's going to be reliable, not reliable, fun, not so much fun. Or if you're going to want to swap it in a couple of years later, well, this is one bike I have never, ever been tempted to swap it in. Never. And it's just a shame that most modern bikes, especially the ones that are water-cooled, you really don't get to see the engine and the fins and all the polished parts. And I don't know, so to me, this was kind of the end of the line for really, I think, really beautiful, beautiful engines. I'm cruising around today without a radar detector of any kind, and so later on in the video you'll see I Came around the corner, and there were all my friends ready to have a party. Luckily, they did not seem interested in me. Part of it is the bike is nice and quiet. Now, I pretty much have all the bikes in the collection to where I like the sound. I'm happy with it. None of them are really, really offensive. But I think today was just a good example of sometimes you get away with things if the bike is quiet and well, they don't hear you coming too early down the road. You get away with it. And this is a bike, no matter what angle you look at it, from a high angle, low angle, the front, the back, the side, it's very pleasantly styled, and I have to give that guy credit. And I don't know his name, but he did the 90S BMW too. And I've always thought, wow, I was so lucky to get this bike just for the styling, if nothing else. And I've got custom gearing, 16 front, 40 back, 530 chain conversion. That's worked out for my needs just perfectly. Gives me a real nice high-speed cruise on Route 80 without the motor buzzing around. And very, very little trade-off in performance, if any. Now, I put a lot of time into doing these wheels. I have the gold set of wheels, and I wanted to have a black set with the matching stripe to the word Suzuki on the tank. Karen mixed up that paint, gave the final okay, and I think the wheels really complement the bike nice. All the back roads in this area, just one more interesting back road than another. Some of them come out in dead ends, some end at the top of mountains or at lakes. But every one of them, it's fun exploring them, and it turned out to be such a nice day, a little bit cooler than what we've had recently. And every time I ride any one of my 4 historically registered bikes, it brings back memories of that era, and that's why I have a bike from every 10-year period. I can relive my childhood, my old age, my senior citizen moments, or when I was young and I was just terrorizing the planet. Now here's just one small example of why I miss my radar detector on this bike. This bike and the RD, I don't have the benefit of the radar detector, and here you are, you're just coming around a corner and you have no idea what's cooking. Now, I remember when I first bought the bike in '82, and I remember all the magazines that were out then, and they all had one thing: oh, it does this, it does that. Some liked it better than this model or that model, but one thing every single person agreed on: it had a great seat. And boy, if there ever was a more, I don't think a Goldwing has a better seat than this bike. It is really comfortable. And this is the 3rd set of Michelin Commanders I've had on this bike. In fact, I have one set that's still on the gold wheels. Those tires and this bike, a nice combination. And I think the ones Joe Padula and Dallas have, the Avons, they're probably another good combination. And one of the most impressive parts of this bike that has stood the test of time is the suspension. It's 40 years old and over 75,000 miles, and it's just as comfortable as when it was the day it was brand new. And I don't know what they did or how they did it or why they did it, but boy, it has stood the test of time well. And many years ago, when Karen used to ride on the back, she would always insist on we ride the GS. And she was smart. And even that passenger seat, I think, is even better than the front seat. But anyway, since she's had back issues, she doesn't ride on the back anymore. And to tell you the truth, I just think that seat on the back is never going to get used again. What a shame. And I just love having that big tank with 200-mile range. You get up, you ride, once you fill it up for the day, you don't think about it again. And now that I got the speedometer with the trip meter that works, one by one, those little details all make the ride more enjoyable. And I always say it was 40 years ago, and I think Suzuki just got a lot of things right with this bike. They had their finger on the button, on the switch, whatever, and here it is 40 years later, and I still love riding it. Now, it's amazing how well made all of the modern motorcycles are, and actually all of the ones from this era. There's so many of them still left as survivors. One of the things that makes that possible is these engines, back in the day, they were really bulletproof. They over-engineered these engines. Well, it's time to turn around, head back to the farm, see what's happening on Route 80. Always my favorite thing. See if I can count the radar traps. I really missed that Valentine boy. And that wasn't the only one that I spied like that today. But anyway, this bike never disappoints you. You go back, you put it away, you put it back in the garage. It's just about as bulletproof and maintenance-free as you can make a motorcycle. And the biggest thing of all, it is so much fun to ride. Well, the weather was just a little bit cooler than the days before. Not a lot though, believe me. It's still you cook eggs on a gas tank. Anyway, as always, we always try to find a few back roads, so try to find some nice scenery. Try to enjoy every aspect of this bike. It's comfortable, it's smooth, reliable, it's 40 years old, and it's still a ton of fun to ride. And while I was out, as always, Karen was cooking up some special stuff for supper tonight. And when I put the bike away today, I just look at it over and over, and I think, to me, that is the essence of what a motorcycle should look like. It really has, it has a classic look like a 55 Chevy or something that I don't think in my lifetime is ever going to go out of style. Okay, so what it is, all homemade now, right?
Yes.
And this is from our garden, the tomato sauce?
This is roasted tomato sauce.
Roasted tomato sauce.
This is eggplant from the garden. It made into eggplant meatballs.
Eggplant meatballs, and of course potatoes grown in Poland. Now, being honest, most of this is from the garden. The cabbage isn't. We didn't had any luck with cabbage or radishes this year.
But everything else is from the...
Everything else is from the garden. And I really appreciate all the work Karen puts into keeping me alive. She forces me to eat all these vegetables, but then at the end of it I say, well, yeah, I like being alive, you know. I like going out on a bike during the day, and she's usually cooking up something or making something special, or you never know what. It's always a surprise. But just like the bikes in my life, I'm blessed to have these bikes. It's such an eclectic, I don't even know how to explain it. It's from every 10-year period, and every one is different. Every one is a unique little entity, and they're all, you gotta love them all. They just all do different things, and they all do little quirky things, and they all do things that you wish were better or newer, and then you go back and you say, oh, but boy, did that bring back some great memories. So if you enjoyed the video, I hope you share it with your friends. And of course, I hope, most of all, that we'll see you tomorrow. And thanks again for watching.